Hi, my name's Peter Horn. I live in Buffalo, New York, and I'm an independent education researcher, consultant, and host of the podcast Point of Learning with Peter Horn. I also support education programs at a medical research institute that studies proteins, and I'm also a professional actor in Buffalo's lively theater scene. So I guess this introduction leads me to my first thought about the financial advice that I'd give to me as a teenager, especially if I were a teenager in the changing economy of the 2020s, where there will be careers available to you in a few years that don't even exist today. Don't limit yourself to one income stream. For the past year, I was enjoying additional money that came from acting in shows around town, but of course, nobody's attending live theater here in the late spring of 2020. So it would have been a real hardship if I weren't also able to make money from my day job at the Research Institute or remote research projects and coaching school leaders by telephone. I don't currently make money directly from the podcast. It's more of a passion project that lets me interview interesting people and share some ideas that I think are most important about what and how and why we learn. Today I'm reconsidering whether I should try to make money from that, but because it's tricky, because I'd never want to advertise something, for example, that I didn't really use or believe in. Speaking of making money, another thing I'd tell myself as a teenager is to remember that no one really makes money. You earn it by trading goods and or services for it. You provide some product or service, and then you take money from other people in exchange. It's important to remember this because in my experience, the people who are happiest provide some good or service that actually makes the world a better place, which is something that the expression make money tends to obscure. There are plenty of people who make a lot of money, but would be hard up to explain exactly how what they do makes the world better. Of course, what you do is up to you, but that ethical consideration is worth considering. I think it's a good idea to try to earn a little less money in order to do something that makes a real contribution and is something that you're passionate about. Which brings me to the best career advice I've ever received. When I was a teenager, my dad said, "Son, whatever you do, make sure it's a job that makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning to go do it." For me, for nearly 20 years, that job was teaching high school English. I loved it. Now, with a doctorate in education, I do consulting and research that indirectly helps many more students and teachers do teaching and learning better. I love that too. And I make podcasts. And I act when I can, which I also love and which I also believe makes a contribution of a different kind. Finally, speaking of contributions, do believe those people who say setting aside a little bit for savings from each paycheck in your 20s will serve you much better than trying to save lots more later on. You only need to understand a little bit about compound interest to know that's the case. Oh, and Roth IRAs. Google Roth IRA if you don't know what it is, and set one up ASAP.